This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, books are really flowing. I've been so excited because this week we've sent off a few more to the printers, and now we're getting the proofs back, and then we'll be pressing the button to print, and which is always an exciting time. And one of the things that I went over in detail this past week on my course on how to write a book in 4 weeks. So, and I should mention to all of you who are in the nonfiction line, if you're interested in participating, we have a new online session starting here in August, and you can get all the details at thebookshepherd.com. Just click on events and you can find out. Any questions, just contact me, as I'd love to have you along with us. It is amazing what can happen when you put a time crunch on it. All right, so one of the things that we spent time on in our last session with all the participants was really on not just the cover, but on the front matter and the back matter. And going into it, and I gave them live examples of what's missing, what people forget about, what needs to be changed, what's the single most important thing that you need to be tuned into on the copyright page, besides having your ISBN and your Library of Congress number. There's one item that really pops out and you should know about. So we're going to jump into the front matter and the back matter. You're just going to have me today diving into that. So I'll be acting as the book shepherd to guide you on what you should have, what you don't need, and what to really look at in this process. So when we go to a designer and we take our book on there, and I've turned over a book that we've worked on and the writing's done, the editing's done, that sometimes there's a little bit more to be added to it, because what we're looking for when we first turn it over is the sampling. What's this book going to look like? Is it going to, how's it going to lay out? How are the chapters going to open? If there's part or section pages, what are we going to do that makes them a little unique or different and stands out? What about call-outs? How are quotes, if quotes are going to be handled, or tables, or maybe a summing up type of category, task, etc. So that's all designed, and when we turn in the chapters, or even we're getting a sampling, we'll try to turn in a chapter that has like everything in it. So then the author has the capability of picking and choosing, cherry picking literally, of what they like, eliminating what they don't like, and then putting it all together. So that's the beginning part of it. I don't worry so much about the front matter, or what's called the back matter, coming in at this stage when we're doing the sample and getting the customization template down. When that is done, then everything else can come together, and give the author also the opportunity just to breathe just a little bit as they start thinking about, okay, what else do I need to put in here? So today's show is really all about what else you need to bring it together. So let's start with this thing called front matter. So what is the front matter? And if you're at a place where you're stationed, as you listen to this, are there any books around, any current books that you can kind of reach out to and take a look at them? Because the front matter is often has a few components that might be different in a fiction book, but most of it is going to be exactly the same. So what is this thing called front matter? And let's start with, I think that I would be more inclined to say that the fiction book authors, the publishers, started this area where they would put the kudos, the praise, the people are talking about, maybe blurbs, not full-blown endorsements, Let me just say the difference between a full-blown endorsement, quasi-testimonial, could go on for many sentences. It could be a couple of paragraphs. Basically, it says you're the author is the best thing that ever came along since sliced bread. That it says that this book belongs on every shelf. Don't leave, don't go into your room without it. It could be, really full and rich. A blurb is going to be the shortened version, pulling out the rich part without all the extra goodies on it. So when it comes to kudos, and you can call it this page, and it would be the absolutely first opening page of the book, before the title, before the copyright, before who you dedicate it to. It'll be the first thing someone reads when they open the cover of your book. Bang, it's there. Now, if you had a lot of people who said that you were a rock star and your book's a rock star, and you decide to use one or two on your back cover, this is where all the leftovers go. And by the way, I would also include, if someone endorsed you and you used it on the back cover, I would repeat it and include it here. And I also, if you look at fiction, you'll see that a lot of times they could have 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, 3 back front pages of kudos saying how fabulous this book is. For most of us, we'd love to have people 3, 4 pages of people saying how we're rock stars. Reality is that it becomes, some are read that they look through. They're used as bait. You're trying to lure the person in that all these people or items or reviews or entities saying that this is spectacular. Then what's going to happen is you will turn the page, you keep turning the page, and you will come along what we call the title page. Now, you could actually have a half title as well as a full title. The difference between the two is the half title will just have your title. It will not have your name on it. It will not have the publisher. There will be no images. It'll just be a half title. And you're thinking, well, why would anyone do that? Well, in truth be known is that when books go into print, there are what's called signatures. The most common signature is 16 pages, so that would be 8 back and front. Now, some of the printing companies have machines that will say 32, but 16 is fairly normal, and you're thinking, well, gee, that's divisible by 8, divisible by 4, divisible by 2. Why isn't that a signature? Because it's not. And that if you go into lesser pages than a full signature, let's say that we have a 160-page book, and we have 158 pages of content. This is an ideal time to drop in a half title page back front, because that brings me to a full 160 divided by 16 is 10 complete signatures. My printing costs will be less for a 160-page book than for a 157-page book. And you're thinking, oh, why is that? Because they have to cut the pages. So it's another step. So you want to look for those signatures, certainly things that are divisible by that 8, no less than 8 format. So half page could go in, and then a full title page could have, will most likely have the image. If you have an image on your book cover, that will be carried in there. Your name here, as well as many times they'll put the publisher's name, even the city you'll see sometimes. So that will be next. Then you flip it over from the title page. Then you will have a copyright page. Now, the single most important thing to me on the copyright page, besides the copyright notice and who owns the copyright, is the date of the copyright. And one of the things that's very important of the copyright page is that the date, if your book comes out in the first 6 months of the year, like the first airing of this is the year 2015. If it comes out the first 6 months of the year, you want 2015. If your book now is coming through the summer months, as we are today, and it goes to fall time, and I actually would say I wouldn't traditionally bring out a book in the summertime, for a couple exceptions, summer beach reads, those kind of things. But I would still put a copyright date for the next year on it. And you may think, but am I protected? Am I protected? Yes, you're protected. But what you need to realize is that as soon as that copyright year is slammed on your copyright page, your book starts a birthday. And if it says 215, it doesn't matter what day of the year of 215, that's the birth date. Your birth year is 215. If you've got a book that really is coming out, rolling out, let's say in October of 215, truly fall time, you really want to make it have it 216, because that book will appear like it's brand spanking new. And that's absolutely critical for you. You don't want it to have it only a couple of months before all of a sudden it's an old book. And believe me, people who are looking at, especially in the nonfiction reading, you're much safer in fiction. In the nonfiction reading, they're looking for brand new books, the latest and the greatest information, the latest and greatest solutions, the greatest how-tos, new. There's a difference between 215 and 216, so keep that in mind. So next up, we go from our copyright. If you have a dedication, that will be on the next page. Traditionally, it will be on the right side. Nonfiction starts anything new on the right side. Your dedication would be new. Fiction doesn't matter, but usually it'll be on this right side as you start the progress of the book before the book truly starts. Next up will be contents. And on contents, and we're going to, I know we're moving into a break here very shortly, but on contents, that it's no longer called table of contents. They're really calling it contents only. So keep that in mind. On your content page, please don't put every subhead. I'm going to give you a trick on how to handle that when we come back. Just the main chapter title. This is Judith Briles. You're listening to Author You, your guide to book publishing, and we're talking about front and back matters in your book.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Okay, so we're talking about the front matter of a book, which is absolutely critical to set up your book, to protect your book. Copyright page has those protections in there, and that's definitely what you want to have from the get-go. So you bring that together, and they're kind of a chronological layout of what the book. So we've been going through that, where the praise, having something on praise, kudos in the opening is certainly appropriate. It doesn't mean you have to do it. Doesn't mean you have to do it. All right, then you get into either the title and a half title page. Half title would be first, title would be second. All right, then you often will have, depending upon where that comes, you could have other books. If you are an author of a lot of other books, for heaven's sakes, put them in. Please put them in with your latest, not the one that you're currently writing, the book that it's in, but whatever your last book is going to be at the top of the list with your first book at the bottom of the list. Right, then you are moving into your copyright page, which is critical. That's going to have your ISBNs, your LOC. It's going to have your categories. It will say printed in the United States or in what other country. Make sure that you have all those items in. A lot of times we put in who helped you from book consulting to design, cover design. I know certainly when I actually always look at the copyright page, because if I really love the way a book looks, I want to know who designed that. I may want to work with them in the future. So there's a variety of goodies on there. If you are a professional, by the way, whether you have an MD, a CPA, you're a psychologist, anything that the advice that you're giving, you may feel you could have some vulnerability, a financial planner, you'll have a disclaimer of some sort, probably on the copyright page. That goes in there. And it's always a good idea on that copyright page to put, if you want to, how to contact the publisher. Most likely you are the publisher. That's okay. It's not your name, right? You have something that doesn't say Jonathan Roberts, LLC. You're much better to have some other publishing name, company that makes it sound legit. And a website or an email or even a phone number to contact if they want to get multiple sales, book sales, and to contact for a discount. So all that's going to be thrown on that copyright page. And again, the most critical element is the date. If you are publishing a book that's going to land after September when it's officially available to the public to buy, please use the following year's date so you give longer legs to what we call a new book. All right, and then you have the dedication page, and you go into contents. Don't call it table of contents any longer. Just please use the key title, whatever that title is for the contents. Get away from putting all the subheads and everything. You can handle those in a way, for example, if you have your chapter, and your chapter opens, if there is space to the left where that's an open page, what's inside this chapter. I've done that, worked with clients with their financial books, for example, and legal related books. What's inside this chapter, where you can literally identify the critical elements. And if someone's going through the book and they're saying, you know what, I'm not interested in any of this, I can skip and go to the next chapter. Or it could be, I need this, and I'm going to get right to that point. So do it closer to the chapter itself, my recommendation on what I work with many of my clients. So we've got the contents. Then if you're going to have a foreword, that's not written by you, it's written by someone else, someone who's a rock star, who thinks that you also are a rock star, or the work that you're doing or presenting is the cat's meow. All right, otherwise, skip it. Right now, traditionally, an introduction goes at this point. And I'm going to recommend you bypass the introduction, and that you put out, make that, for nonfiction at least, chapter 1. So many times, authors put so much heart and soul into creating the introduction, which is the setup for the book. Maybe why I'm in this pickle, or why I'm this expert. How did I get here? That type of thing. And what you want to do is make sure they read it. Well, guess what? Especially today, they don't read it. More and more people are bypassing the introduction. Make it chapter 1. If it's really important in the setup, make it as a full bore part of it. And here's another thing, is that if you're going to do an index, and many nonfiction books should have an index, especially if you want to get into a library, which, by the way, would be in the back matter. If you're going to have an index, many times the indexers bypass the introduction. Really? I don't think you want that to happen. Make it chapter 1. Now, if you're a fiction writer, you could have a prologue to set up the book. Usually you'll see that in that kind of area. Sometimes people put their life story kind of in a prologue, how I got there. That choice is up to you. But that's going to be your front matter. Now you're ready to roar with your chapters 1, going through them. I'm going to really encourage you to think really closely of how you lay out your chapters, that you make them really inviting. So whatever your cover is, if you've got something unique that you've used in the cover design, maybe a section of that can come over into the layout of each chapter. Let me give you an example. One of my clients is named Hans Suter. He lives down in just outside of Houston, Texas, and has a restaurant called King's Beer Garden. He wrote a book. It's the first of several books, and this is really his memoir of how he came to the United States, really basically broke. And friends funded him the money to came over after he had been bilked out of over $3 million that was supposed to be deposited into his account. And the Australian government froze the bank account it was coming from, because it turned out that the guy who bought his business and owed him the money that was sitting in escrow in the bank for them to transfer on a Friday, that didn't get transferred because it was frozen, because we have too many becauses here, so don't write that way, because that the person who bought the company had been selling phony war bonds. So he was going to go off to a gated community eventually. And so they locked up the money, which was due to Hans. Now he has lost his business because he can't get it back the way the laws worked over there. And now the government's after him for tax money for sales of things, if you can imagine. So Hans lost everything. Came to the United States, broke, without his family, and he started all over just by knowing a couple of words, and now has an extraordinary successful restaurant outside of Houston. His story is a wild roller coaster of a ride. He's what I call a serial entrepreneur. And because he was living in Monte Carlo before he came to the United States. What we did was we took, because it's a gambling, drinking community, we took a beautiful wine glass and put the Bay of Monte Carlo in the wine glass, kind of ghosted like. And when the chapters opened, each chapter opened with this image, so you kept going back there. And then a quote, a line, kind of an aha that grabbed my attention, was brought up to the opening before it went into starting the chapter. So think about how you can bring over that something image, something suggestive from that can really make your book sing and stand out and look different, which I think would be fabulous, and certainly would attract me with where I look at books. All right, so we've got your front matter. We're laying out our book. You want to think of eye candy, visual breaks, that you've got openers here. Maybe if you have something like, here's what's in this book, on an empty page to the left, or if you have an empty page, it's interesting. A lot of people think there should be something on every page. You might come up with, again, some kind of a ghosting type image and pull out an aha from your book, a nugget that you want people to remember, or maybe a tease, kind of a lure to keeping them forward. And as you go forward, and you want to keep those images. There's another book called Money Secrets by Kim Curtis that she has a peel back of Ben Franklin's eyes. And we carried that peel back. The chapters opened with a giant peel back, and we slammed into the peel back the title of the chapter. At the end of the chapter, there was something she had, questions you should ask your advisor. Again, much slimmer banner peel back, and then that was questions you should ask your advisor. So that you have a theme being consistent, carrying through. And that really makes your book look special, feel special. It doesn't scream, oh, this was self-published and this one person, cutting and pasted at the kitchen table. It really sets it apart, which is what you want to do, so you are different. When you get toward the back matter, you're going to have your chapter, and then we're going to add in a little bit of these nuggets that will make a difference. This is Judith Briles. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, radio with a cutting edge.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
During the last section, I had mentioned the online writing course we have starting up in August. And I have to tell you, we've had so much fun during this month and when we were doing it and putting it together. And I've got 17 authors. We have to keep it small so you can get the intensity of what you need to do to put it together. That's for sure. But it's just been really a lot of fun to be able to see people thinking there's no way I'm going to do this, to see, oh my God, I'm doing this on that. So, I mean, there's pre-work. If you're interested in joining up, you want to go to thebookshepherd.com, click on the events tab, and then on online workshop. The first one will start on August 6th. And goes through the 27th. It'll be every Tuesday at, East Coast time. It will be at 7:15 East Coast time. And one of the mottos of that is short is the new black. And that you want to learn how can you redefine, repurpose. We've done a couple of shows on repurposing your content in the past. And how can you take what you had from blogs, from articles, from old books, and start patching this baby together, doing some tweaking, certainly some more writing, but bring it together and create a new book and move it out kind of in a 5x8 format. Even could be a 5x7. I've got a couple of gift books that are coming along from this. But what can you do to really move it along? And it is amazing how fast some of our authors are moving in this, where they will have absolutely completed. They're already within 2 weeks, they have drafts done. So we'll show you how to do that. If you're interested in what the must-have elements are, what kind of social media that you should have to support it out, what kind of hiccups you're going to run away into, but what can you do? You want to check this out. So go to thebookshepherd.com, click on events, and then online write your nonfiction book in only 4 weeks, and come and really have intensive coaching to get through this process. It's really a lot of fun, I have to tell you. All right, so with that, we've transitioned from the book and moving on that. And incorporating it and integrating whatever you started on the front. It's top of a brand. You're integrating it and carrying it through from the very front matter cover to the front matter to the interior of it. So now we move to the back matter. And there's a couple of things that authors just don't think a heck of a lot about. And really, it's part of the secret sauce that you can do as an author, especially if you have a business. And your business could be speaking, it could be consulting, it could be other gizmos and gadgets. I have no idea, but whatever you have in play, you're going to take an opportunity, because why wouldn't you want to include it, not just in the line in your bio, but we're going to talk about creating a page. So in getting to the back matter, when you get to the end of your book, I always encourage my authors who write a nonfiction book to have a final word, an afterthought. We used to write conclusions in the old days. Be more creative, but no more than 2 to 3 pages. But it's just the kind of final, kick kind of kick butt, taking action, moving into what all your wise words are about. So putting that together. All right, so that little final bit. Now we're going to move into the back, what we call the back matter. Back matter will start with about the author. That's you. I'm going to encourage you to put your picture. If you're going to have your picture on the back cover or on a dust jacket, depending on which way you're going to go, I'd like to suggest you use a different picture on this. Another nice picture that just gets people see you in a different arena, a different way. And one of the trends that seems to be happening with a lot of paper books, because a lot of books, are not done in hard. They don't have dust jackets. People don't, they don't have the paper with the flaps, which I like to do with most of my books. And so you don't have that extra, what we call real estate, to add in a full bio segment. So they may take just a few lines. You may choose to take a few lines and put it on the very last part of the back cover that's going to be close to the bar, right above or certainly adjacent, wrapped around your barcode with your ISBN and your price on it. We are seeing more and more books now skipping that totally, because they're feeling this real estate is so important. If I can get a couple of more selling points, lures, bait, hooks on that back cover, I might be better off. That's going to be a decision that you make as an individual, and it certainly would tie in maybe with your professional, maybe if you're a psychologist and doing certain things in team development for a corporate market, you might want to have that there if people are looking at that. Instead of having them thumb through to figure out who is this person and what's their claim to fame that they're going to be telling me to do XYZ. So just a thought. All right, so about the author. All right, this is your brag time. People usually don't care how many pets you have and all that, but this is where you're going to get some credentialing out. You might let them know what part of the country you live in. If your credentials of where you went to school are important, you'd certainly want that. If they're not, don't put it in. This is not a CV where you're laying out your resume, right? But it's about you. And if you're a speaker, you're going to make sure that you're a speaker. You're also going to have another page behind about the author, and this is many just don't think about this, and it's called how to work with, how to bring Susie, Dr. Susie to your organization, something along that line. And you are going to do in a short paragraph, reiterate your claim to fame in the professional side. That would be a quasi-pitch, to put it bluntly, of why they should bring you to their organization, to their association, to fill in the blank, to work with. So if you're a speaker, you may want to put down what some of those topics are that you speak on. If you're a keynoter, you put in you're a keynoter. If you speak internationally, you put that in. If you're interactive, if you're transformational, if you are humorous, you want to have all those adjectives that will describe you in there. If you do consulting, I would have a new paragraph. You consult to groups such as, and you could have a couple of lines about what the transitions that have happened after you've been there. If you do any online trainings or anything along that line, you want to have all that there. And then, of course, websites to go to. And by the way, I would put my website on about the author. I would have it on either one of these two pages, either how to work with or about the author, how to connect with you. Do you want people to follow you on Twitter or Facebook or Google Plus or LinkedIn or what? You want to have that, and sometimes you can just put the little symbol of that, since they're so universal at this point, that you put the symbol and whatever then the link is to find you there. Don't make it difficult. And that's always a challenge. People sometimes have to feel like they have to hide. If you're in business and you want business, this is not the time to do it. So how to work with. Okay, now acknowledgments. I mentioned that acknowledgments could be up front. A lot of people can put them there, or they move them back. If you have a lot of stuff in the front end, I'd move them to the rear, the acknowledgement section to the rear. And also on the spelling of acknowledgements, leave out the second E if you're writing for U.S. North American markets. The E after the G as an ACKNOWLEDG. And then for Europe, there is an E. For the North Americans, there is none. All right, that's one of the differences, the British way. Acknowledgements. There is a great article on the Book Shepherd, but I think it's both AuthorU and the Book Shepherd websites on the Big Five, the essentials, like how to get your ISBNs, how to get your LCCNs, how to write acknowledgements. Who do you thank in your village on that? So I would encourage you to go and download that and take advantage of it. Then you have what we have is the resources. All right. Are you going to recommend any bibliography, any resources as they come together? References. There are, for example, Pamela Bryson Weaver in her book on living autism day by day has a huge amount of resources for parents who are challenged with autism in their family, and where they can go to in both Canada and the United States. All right, so those would be resources. Bibliographies would be lists of other reading material that you or websites that you want to refer people to. Please do your reader a favor and tell them why you are referring them to that. Just one line. You could maybe clump several together, and say, this is what I've used as my principal resource when I wrote the chapter on blah, blah, blah. And so they know why you're recommending it, and move into that area. That's just kind of smart to do. And then don't just fill it up. And I have to tell you, in the old days, we used to pile that stuff on because we thought it made us look more important. Look, if you are not using it right now and think it's part of the Bible in this group, then skip it and don't put it there. And also pay attention to the publication date of the resources that you recommend, because there are times that they, something that's 15 years old and a reference may not be current. So you want to be current with whatever you have. So that's one of the things, by the way, when you're doing your last bit on your book, you always do a Google search on what's new in breaking news. We'll be right back. On Back Matter, this is Judith Briles. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. Let's hope you're all writing away this summer.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd. If you want to create a book with no regrets, give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
States with quality programming. This is TogiNet Radio.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
You know, in this last segment, I thought I forgot to mention, besides the online How to Write a Book in 4 Weeks for Nonfiction, that I've got my annual 3-day event popping up next month in August, the 27th through the 29th here in Denver. And I would love to have you come and join me. The first day is all going to be dedicated to gizmos and gadgets that will make your authoring and publishing life soar, and also give you back a lot of hours, because it is daunting, some of the stuff that we have to do. So, and then the next 2 days are just me as your coach with a variety of things, from whether it's crowdfunding, or how would you like to create a speech that will bring you $1 million in book sales? I'm going to show you how to do it. There's so much more. You can find that information on the details at the bookshepherd.com website. Just click on events, and it's going to be Judith Briles Book Publishing Unplugged. Read all the details. If you're interested and you call me, don't sign up online. Call me and do it this way, because I'm going to give you a special discount because you are one of our AuthorU-Your Guide to Book Publishing listeners. So it starts in a little bit over a month. It'll change your book and publishing life. I don't care how advanced you are, or how neophyte you are, or if you're just gazing in your belly button and thinking about writing. I would love to have you as part of the class. You are going to get intense. I keep it small, and there are a lot of hot seats. Hot seats. All right, we're back to back matter. So we're kind of, waltzing through your design of your book. And we've looked at resources, bibliography, and then there's this thing called appendices that sometimes people add in. A lot of times books that have financial or maps, they could have questionnaires, they could have a variety of things that go into the appendices section. And that even, I think, one of the nice things I think one of my clients did is she actually put a divider in it, make like a part page. And she carried over a ghosting of the cover, an image, and then she had the appendix, and she had a glossary of terms. This was a financial book. She had the notes to the chapters in there. There was publisher's notes, and that area. So that all came into it. So appendices can have a variety of things, but there are information. It could be even forms. Now, I'm going to make a suggestion to you. If you have forms within your book, you refer your readers to, and you say, you can find them in full detail in the back of the book, in the appendices section, or the appendix if there's just one. But that I would encourage you, go ahead and do that. But I'm going to encourage you to do something else. Why don't you create, because you're going to make your book for sale on your website, yes, even though you're probably going to be referring them to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or an indie bookstore, or maybe you refer them just to a bookstore. But your goal is to bring them, one of them would be to bring them to your website. And by the way, you could, in the back matter, you could have website specials. You could also have QR codes that they could go over and watch some videos that you've created. That's another little gimmick that you can do. And that with that, you could really sell. Have you thought about this? Those forms? Sell them to your readers. If you've got a workbook, right now I'm working on a client with a workbook. Creating the workbook, yes, include them, but why not create them as another product that they can get, like 10 of them for a certain price or something like that. So in this back matter, you've got in your appendices, you're going to have different things that will be available, that much more in-depth information that you don't want to refer to stop the reader, because listen, forms can stop the reader in that area. Then you have an index. If you're going to do a nonfiction book, I think it's a good idea to do an index. Now, some people they've gone to Word and use their system. My advice would be that's a start. But I would really be turning my book, once it's designed by a designer, and we've gone through it, we've done another proofing of it, I would be turning it over to an indexer. This is what they do. They index. And there's some very sophisticated software out there that's not cheap that they use. And they can go, from a couple hundred words in a dive to 9,000 plus words that they're looking for. Then one thing that's important to understand about indexes is that if there are unique words, jargon, it's the wise author will let the indexer know, make sure that they are included in the index that they go through. If you want book titles, you need to give the book titles, or certainly the author's full name. And by the way, I've seen some miss, because some of the programs will pick up, let's say that you're quoting Peter Senge, but in the way you wrote it up, his book, but when you wrote it up, you may have said Peter Senge's book, and now we have a possessive. Well, if you didn't give the word as a possessive, the indexing may not pick it up. Seems goofy, but it does happen. So the index, you make sure, and the other thing is you've got to make sure this. If you're doing an index, and then you come back and you're rereading your book for one more time, and it's going to go to the printers, and you think, oh my God, why did I say it this way? No. I need to rewrite this paragraph. I need to delete this sentence. I need to add a couple of more paragraphs. I need to add another sentence. You know what, this word, it's just not the right word. I need to add a new phrase to it. That could all toss out your index, because a new phrase, even a word, could drop a line on a page to the next page in a new layout. That means that everything could be out of kilter. So it's really important that the index is going to be the last thing you do, and you are not allowed to rewrite once you have it into play. Please, please, please. All right, one other item I think that is very important for you to consider in your book is something that we have about the author, but what about promo for you? What about promo for you that you could have? Maybe you have other books. Maybe you've got a series that you're getting ready to do. Even if it's not ready, you can kind of announce it. You're going to do it. That if you've got the space in your book, remember you're going to try to have your signatures on this. If you've got that space in the book, what you want to do is then go about and maybe take up at least a page and start dropping in some of your other products. Why not? Why not? And then you put it together, and you can have, images. If you have the books, I put the book cover. In fact, if you look at many of the books that come out today, that at the very back, very, 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 this is called back matter, very back of it, that you'll often see other items. In fact, I've seen publishing companies actually promote, advertise other books within their stable that have nothing to do with the author's book, because they're the publisher, they have the power, they can do that. But you've got the power, if you're publishing this book yourself, you're being an indie publisher, you've got the power to also do other things. So, for example, if I had an extra page, I could put up my event, Judith Browell's Book Publishing Unplugged. Or I could put up a page, or, combine it, depending upon what my source is, for the How to Write a Book in 4 Weeks course. So there's different things that you can do because you have the power to do it. And you might as well take advantage of it as you go on. And this is part of all of the promotion that you do as an author. And I have to tell you that you're listening to someone who was doing almost everything to avoid social media. Now I say social media is the town hall of all your marketing. And I had a friend over, I was trying to show him some things that he's doing. They're starting a new company that he can do. And he was so stunned at what I knew and learned. Someone who said, meaning me, that 3 years ago, I said I would have nothing to do with all this stuff, that can whip around and post things and do things and create things in literally a matter of seconds. So it's managing it, but taking advantage of it. So in the marketing of your book, which is what we've had several shows on, and we certainly will have many more in the future, is that's going to continually change. But social media is going to be a really benchmark. It's going to be the foundation of what you do, and you want to get involved with that. So put your social media contacts, let people know to get a hold of you. If you have a special report, a special offering, go get it. If maybe you want to put a secret code, you write something in the back of the book. If you find the secret code within the book, get it, and you download this whole special report, or maybe a hidden book. You never know. There's just a lot you can do in the back matter, the front matter, in the between matter. All right, that's it for today. This is Judith Briles. It's AuthorU, your guide to book publishing. Have a great rest of the summer. Love to have you join me at the book publishing, the event I do in August, or on the online. Just go to thebookshepherd.com, click on events, and you'll find everything that I'm doing. Take care.
Thank you for being a part of your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week,